Despite my love-hate relationship with Hifiman, today we will look at the Hifiman Deva Pro. It's been a long time since I've even held a new Hifiman in my hands, since the age of the original HE400, 500 and HE6, all of which I have owned, currently own, or have tested. I will be reviewing this headphone as a wired headphone only. I'll only be reviewing it for its current price, which is now around €200, instead of its MSRP of around €230. On the surface, there appears to be no significant issues with the build. The joints between the cups and headband grabbed my attention immediately, as they appear to be a huge improvement over the crosshead screws I still have to tighten every few months on my HE500. The earpads also seem to be a big improvement over the original HE500 pleather pads. Almost all of these have now spontaneously exploded due to their heat-sealed seams popping. The seams on these pads are stitched together, and since they are hybrid pads with fabric touching your skin, they should be more resistant to quickly flaking, as pleather does after extensive contact with natural skin oils. On many headphones, the pads have a common flange mount system, or a proprietary twist lock system, or some other way of holding the pads in place with magnets or a gentle pressure fit. In true Hifiman style, none of these industry standards are good enough. They need to make something proprietary, innovative, and completely asinine. There's a unique trick to taking off the Deva Pro pads. You must first channel your inner barbarian, call upon the power and wisdom of your long-deceased caveman ancestry, and tear the pads off with your raw human power. Truly revolutionary. This puts huge stresses on the pad stitching and joints, and there's no way on earth these pads would last more than a dozen or so mounting cycles. This also makes these pads entirely proprietary and very difficult to customize with aftermarket earpads. With these out of the way, let's have a look at the drivers. This is where most of your money is going. Hifiman has done a pretty good job of reducing the weight and materials needed to produce a large planar driver. I hope it's worth it. The headband joint between the padding and yokes seems to be an improvement of sorts, but they are made of a single piece of what looks like cheap plastic. This means that once the headband padding flakes off, these cannot be easily serviced at home like other headphones. I had no problem with the size of the headband adjustment. It fit just fine on my head. The entire headband is padded with a thicker padding underneath, and all the padding is very dense. I'll talk more on that later. Regarding the design of the yokes, the curve of the yokes does not match the curvature of the cups. The distance between the two is inconsistent, and I'm not a fan of the finishing angle, which turns away from the headphone instead of wrapping around it or ending at the same angle. The headphone cups are plastic. Not just any plastic, but a very cheap plastic, the kind you see on €20 gaming headsets, not €300 audiophile headphones. The cable has a Y-split with 3.5mm termination on all ends, and a 3.65mm adapter is provided for the source end, which also has a right angle termination. The cable quality is good, but it's a bit too thick and may try to coil a little bit if not straightened out properly. But to be clear, the coiling isn't too bad, and for most people it won't be an issue at all. Overall, the build gets a 3 out of 10. Going back to the headband, I couldn't really wear these for longer than 30 minutes at a time without feeling a strong hot spot on the very top of my head. The padding foam is so thick or compressed that all the pressure accumulates at one tight spot. There's also very little head clamp between the pads, which accentuates this problem as all the weight is coming down on top of your head. so the headphone will feel quite light and comfortable at first, especially for a full-sized planar, but I would not expect that feeling to last. But of course, comfort is subjective, so I won't give that a score. As usual with Hifiman, you're not really paying for the build, or the comfort, or the design. You're paying for that classic high-end planar sound that only Hifiman can give you at this price, right? First, let's throw up a graph. Here's the Deva Pro compared to the Sennheiser HD650. Purely from the perspective of tonal quality, there's a lot to like here. Better sub-bass extension is always welcome, and a slow fall from 1000 Hz up to 4000 Hz is a common tuning that many people enjoy, and it can have a psychoacoustic effect of creating a bigger sense of scale by pushing vocals and instruments further back. The overall tone is on the warmer side of neutral. Despite how it looks, the treble is quite soft and actually lacking some sparkle. While the detail is fair, the lack of technical treble ability adds to the impression of a lack of detail. Back in the days, while HD650 was Sennheiser's flagship headphone, many people described the treble as having a veil, like a thin screen between your ears and reality, that made treble lack that final word in authority, detail, and realism. The Deva Pro also has this kind of veil, but it's more like a curtain. A quick comparison with my dusty but trusty HD555, which would be in the same price bracket by modern standards, upper mids and treble is less veiled and more present and a more natural timbre, and it has a better sense of space. Unfortunately, some bass is lacking, so the HD555 takes the L there. Lower mids are on par with just about any other headphone worth their money in this price segment, but upper mids have a dull timbre that makes everything sound far away or closed up in a box, like listening to music while it's playing in the next room. The soundstage is very small, smaller than the HD650. Almost everything is happening in a small spot inside your head. Every now and then, with some really good stereo recordings, you get these small blobs of sound that appear just behind your left or right eye, or that sometimes edge further back towards your ears, but that's about as far out as it ever got for me. This is also very far from what I'm used to with my Hifiman HE500, which is near holographic by comparison. Of course, that's in a different price bracket, but come on. These are both full-size, large planar headphones of similar dimensions. How can the staging be so different? It's impressively small, and the imaging is also quite poor. Both are more impressive on the closed-back biodynamic DT770 Pro 80 ohm. Actually, it wouldn't be fair to stop there. Almost everything sounds better on the DT770 Pro. A headphone less than half its MSRP and over 15 years older. I can only give the sound quality at this price a 3 out of 10. It really makes you question why. What's the point in buying an open back headphone and a planar? But why stop there? The DT770 is also better built and more comfortable. What more do you get with the Deva Pro? A Bluetooth dongle. And mine doesn't even work. Take it easy, and I'll see you in the next one.